a little bit more about the informational interviewing process. If you noticed last week, one of the assignments was to find someone, in leadership. It can be anyone, family member, coworker, former teacher, whatever. It's just someone in leadership to have a conversation with about this idea of leadership. Most of you will be in leadership if you're not already in leadership, and we want you to start thinking along those lines. But in addition to that, we also want you to start thinking about networking. We're going to spend a lot of time on networking this week. So today we're going to talk about introducing yourself and what the elevator pitch is all about. You'll be utilizing the elevator pitch when you do your interviewing. Part of interviewing is being comfortable with, introducing yourself and telling someone what it is that you are looking for. Obviously, you want the company to, feel that whatever it is you're looking for, they're part of that process. Like no company thinks that you're going to stay there forever, so even if they do ask you, a question, one of those general questions, like what is it that you're looking for, it's okay to say, I really want to one day become a master electrician. It's okay to say that, even if they don't, utilize master electricians. That shows them that you have ambition. So your elevator pitch, which we will talk about today, you can use it in interviewing, you can use it when you're trying to network, you can use it when you are doing what we call informational interviewing, which is basically trying to pick someone's brain to get feedback from them on, are you moving in the right direction with your career, which is how we tell a lot of people to utilize the informational interviewing. It gives you an opportunity to get comfortable with letting people know what your career aspirations are, but most importantly, getting feedback from them so you can, make adjustments if need be, which we'll also talk about in this week, when you do career plan step 2, hopefully after having spoken with someone in leadership and you've told them, hey, my name is Cynthia and I'm looking to become a master electrician one day, and I just wanted your feedback. Maybe you're talking to someone that's in that field, and maybe you thought that, okay, all I need to do is to finish up this program, start a job, and then go study for my license. But maybe they may give you some feedback and say, no, you really need to try to go sit for this other certification first. So then that becomes part of your short-term goals. So that's one of the reasons why we do want you to speak to someone, because we want you to try to get some feedback from them before you set your short-term goals. All right. So just as a recap of where we are today, all of your grades are in for whatever got turned in by midday yesterday. You should have your grades. If you owe me something, please, make sure that you let me know, so that, you're going to get an opportunity to turn those things in. This week, you will be doing your mock interviews. So some of you will have to pop out early. Some of you may not be able to come because you're going to your mock interview. Totally fine. I'll try to, this week we won't even be in the live session. I'll try to move as quickly as possible because I do know people have to pop off early. People need to come in late, and I want to honor that time. I don't want anybody trying to rush through anything. I want to give you that time to get that done since it is part of the class. All right. So just make sure you check your grades on that. Make sure your long-term goals assignment, hopefully by now, most of you that had to go back and make some adjustments. I didn't see everybody make adjustments. So if you didn't get a good grade on that, it's because you did not make an adjustment. As I suggested, you will need to have a career goal in order to do part 2. There's a few people that gave me some personal goals, and that's just not going to help you in part 2 and part 3. So please make sure you go back and adjust that. All right. So in chapter 3, it talks about branding. And the reason why it talks about branding is because you have to brand yourself. Like, you are an entity. We are so used to businesses selling products, right? If someone said to you that Coca-Cola needs to promote its Coke, its products, you would be like, well, duh, of course they do. But if someone says to you, you need to promote your services, you may be like, well, I'm not a business. Well, you kind of are a business because you are selling a service to businesses, right? You don't own the business. They're contracting with you to provide a service, right? So your service doesn't necessarily look like the person's service that's sitting next to you or to the right or left of you. So in essence, in order for someone to want to choose your service over someone else's, you need to promote yourself. You are a brand in and of yourself, are you not? No two people are alike. What makes you different? That is your personal brand. You have to look at yourself like a brand. You have to ask yourself, what is my brand? Why would someone value my service over someone else? Am I just a number? Am I not unique enough? Do I not bring unique abilities and qualities to the table? No one's going to know if you don't promote yourself. So your personal brand is everything combined, all of your skills, your aptitudes, your ability, your personality, your values, all of that is part of your brand, right? It includes everything from, your past experience, obviously your education, right? And your reputation, your reputation. What do you want your reputation to be? What do you want people to say about you after you've provided a service to them? Because that is what's going to build your future reputation. Let me tell you, there is nothing more satisfying than not having to apply for a job because you get referred. Can you imagine getting to the point to where you don't even have to apply for jobs because people will seek you out? People will just check your resume or people that you know from LinkedIn and they refer you out. That's when you know you've really built a reputable brand for yourself. When people start to share your name, refer you out to others and say, this is a person that you want to engage with. This is a person that you want to work with. That's when you know that your brand is working. You have to build your brand, especially when you get into your career, right? It is a competition. I hate to use the word competition, but it is a competition, right? Everybody's vying for an opportunity to perform. So in essence, it is sort of a competition. Your personal brand statement is what chapter 3 talks about. Basically, it's like a sentence that you can use for people to know what you're about. You may say, well, why would I need a personal brand statement? Well, if you think about it, nowadays, how are we promoting ourselves? We promote ourselves on LinkedIn, other social media platforms, and most of those platforms are asking you for some type of tagline, right? We call that your personal brand statement, something that you can put somewhere, one sentence that kind of lets someone know what you are about, right? It lets them know, hey, okay, you're about to look at this LinkedIn profile, and this person says that they are a seasoned, VA professional with, 20 years experience working with animals. Okay, now I know what I'm about to read, what I'm about to look at. Is it something that I want to take a step further into investigating, right? How do you create this statement? Well, one great shortcut that you can use is that summary that you have on your resume. I told you in week 1 that we would circle back around to that resume. And hopefully, if you all had your summaries, even though I didn't see summaries on some of those resumes, those qualifications at the top, profile, people call it different things, then that would be very helpful for you when you create a personal brand statement, which you will be doing today. So if you don't have one, if Career Services did not help you put one together, you're going to have to put one together on your own. But if you do have one, then pull out your resume and I'm going to show you how to use it. You don't have to physically pull it out, but if you want to pull it out while we're talking, that's great. So how do you create one if you don't have a personal brand, a profile statement? Well, you're going to go back to what I said before. You got to think through, okay, what are my skill sets? If I look at my resume, if I know what do I know of myself and my hard skills and my soft skills, how can I put these different attributes together to make a descriptive phrase about myself, right? If I had to create a one-liner, what would it look like, right? Because I know I can then utilize it when I'm doing my portfolio. I can utilize it on my cover letter. You know, if you don't have a profile statement, you can put it on your resume too, right? Something that lets people know what it is that they're about to learn, right, about this person. So some examples in chapter 3 that they gave you of personal brand statements, and if you'll notice, they kind of look like profile statements from your resume. Here, this first one says what? A creative problem solver who can combine mathematics skills and science expertise to help develop sustainable energy sources. Okay, kind of sounds like a profile statement, right? A writer who is able to blend communication and critical thinking skills to illustrate solutions to common problems. Sounds good to me, right? Now, in your profiles may be maybe 3 sentences, right? But somewhere in that profile, you may have a sentence like this. Sounds a lot like most of our opening sentences, right? You have that, then they may have, you know, 1 or 2 other sentences that talks about the different skills that you may have, because most profiles are like 3 sentences long, but they typically all start out with that personal brand statement, right? So how then, like we said before, when you are out and about, whether you're at an interview, whether you're doing informational interviewing, whether you're networking, how do you create what chapter 3 calls a personal commercial? Okay, Ms. Taylor, now you're saying a whole bunch of stuff. So let's recap. Are you saying I need a profile statement that's like 3 sentences on my resume that kind of lets people know what I'm about? And it includes those key words that those ATS systems will use to, you know, highlight my resume if I'm applicable. Yes, you need a profile statement that is about 3 sentences long. And typically that first sentence can also, you know, be used as your personal brand statement. Okay, Ms. Taylor, so I need a profile statement. Then I also need a personal brand statement, which is like just 1 sentence, whether I take it from my resume and I can throw that on my LinkedIn profile, right? Yes, that's what I'm saying. And are you also saying that I need a personal commercial? Well, yeah, you need a personal commercial because you're not, how many of us go around introducing ourselves like, hi, I'm a creative problem solver who can combine mathematical skills and science expertise. Anybody ever introduce themselves in that way? That would be weird because that's a statement, right? That's not how we introduce ourselves. So if we're out and we are networking, or if we bump into someone that may have an opportunity, let's say you bump into someone in an elevator, which is where the statement comes from, and they just happen to be the boss of a department you want to you know, move into, or you notice that they have some type of, I don't know, sign or pen, or maybe they have on a uniform of a company that you want to work for. Oh my God, I wasn't expecting to bump into this person. What am I going to say? I can't use my personal brand statement. That would be weird, right? How do I introduce myself? Well, that is where your commercial comes from, because your statements go on some type of paper or it goes on some type of, you know, platform. But your personal commercial is how you introduce yourself. So now, how do I take my profile or my statement and use it to introduce myself? Well, that is where you then take your statement and you use it to develop your commercial. What am I going to say? Well, I'm going to have to say something about my education or skills. I got to let them know why I'm talking to them, because most people are like stranger danger. What is this weird person talking to me for? I don't know you. So you got to tell them why you're talking to them, right? And then you got to tell them what you want. Okay, well, how do I do that? Okay, so here's an example. If I have a statement like you see on the left, which maybe I use this on my LinkedIn profile, a marketing professional who is dedicated to creating jaw-dropping promotions. That makes perfect sense when it's on my LinkedIn profile. But is that how I introduce myself when I'm out and about? No, that'd be weird. So what do? Well, the first thing you do on the right is you tell someone who you are. Hi, I'm Susan. I'm an assisting marketing product manager. She goes on to say with a degree in marketing. Do you have to talk about your degree? You don't have to, but that's what she did. She goes on to say, I'm located in Houston. Then she talks about my skills. She digs into her marketing skills. She goes, my skills are in writing and, bringing attention to target audiences. She's talking a little bit about hard and soft skills. She goes on to talk about how she's proficient in social media. Now, what she didn't do here, which, this is just an example, but it talks about it in the book. She lets the person know, why am I talking to you? Maybe she's bumped into someone in a different marketing firm and she wants to learn more about the position she saw on LinkedIn. So she would say, after introducing herself and also qualifying herself by telling them what she does, I noticed you guys had an advertisement for a new marketing director. You know who I could talk to about that? Okay, so let's recap. What did Ms. Taylor just do? Ms. Taylor took her marketing, she took her statement, and the statement basically says that she's a marketing professional, but now she's out and about and she bumps into someone and she wants to let them know who she is, but she has to tell them who she is. Then she has to qualify herself, because of course the person is going to be like, why would I send your resume? Why would I give you somebody's name? I don't know you. So she has to qualify herself, and then she has to get to the point. She has to tell the person what they want, because you only have a couple of seconds before somebody calls you a weirdo. You know how we like to do, right? Like, why is this person talking to me? So you need to get to the point quick, especially if you're in an elevator, right? Which is what the elevator pitch is about. You got 30 seconds to get to your point, right? So she needs to let them know. So let me use myself as an example. Okay, I'll use the work I do in education. I bump into someone in leadership and I want to go for a promotion I saw on the website. So, and they don't know me, right? So I'll go, hi, my name is Cynthia Taylor. I have over 20 years experience teaching in higher education and business and IT. Right then and there, what did I do? I told them who I am and I qualified myself. What does that do? That disarms people. Now the person's thinking, okay, they're going to ask me something about clearly education. Now they're like, oh, okay. Now you need to get right to the point, right? Get to the point. I saw you guys advertise for a position, blah, 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 and I would love to pass on my resume. Do you know who I could talk to? That's it. That's my personal commercial. Now, if you have more time, let's say you're at a conference, let's say you're in this long line at the airport, and you happen to be talking to someone, maybe you don't even really know what they do. You don't have to necessarily, well, not know what they do. Like, obviously, someone said, oh, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I work at the, this construction firm, this electrical, whatever. You can say, oh, hi, my name is, Tom, I recently graduated from electrical program as well, right? You don't necessarily have to make the ask just then. But if they say, oh, that's interesting. And, I know that, we're looking for a blah, blah, blah. And you'd be like, oh, that'd be great. You know who I could talk to? Same difference, right? You chop it up a little bit, but the point is to do what? The big point is to know how to introduce yourself in that middle sentence, qualify yourself using your personal brand statement, maybe expanding on it a little bit with a little bit of hard or soft skills. All I like to say is how long I've been doing something and what I'm doing, right? Because it really depends on where you are. Now, if you're at a conference and you have more time to talk to somebody, easy enough. But if you don't and you need to get to the point, and then you allow the person an opportunity to decide if they want to continue the conversation. Because what's going to happen? They're either going to say, oh, okay. They're going to ask a follow-up question, or they're going to say, here's the information, or give me your contact. Those are the one of the three things that's going to happen, right? But if you don't ask, you don't get. And let me tell you something. This works on social media as well. You would be surprised the number of people that go into people's DM, and I'm talking about for business, that go into people's DM and just say, hi, my name is Cynthia. I have 20 years experience teaching. I saw your company's looking for a blah, blah, blah. Do you mind passing on my resume? Do you know how many people do that? You can't be shy about networking. Or if you don't even want to make the ask, maybe you just have a question about the company. Hi, my name is Cynthia. I have 20 years experience teaching. I saw your company's building a new school over in so-and-so. You know when that'll be finished? You can jump into people's DMs on LinkedIn all the time. That's what it's for. People expect you to connect with each other, right? Very different from a regular social platform where sometimes people look at you a little weird when you're jumping into their DMs. But on a career platform, it is expected. It is expected that you connect with people all the time. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions about a personal commercial? Do you understand what I'm saying with that? I don't want to confuse people because I know I talked about three different things. Your profile statement, your brand statement, and then using that to do a commercial. Today, you are going to be creating a personal brand statement for your question, your today's question, and then you're going to be doing an elevator pitch for your assignment. So I want to make sure you understand it and not to scare you, but we want you to record it. I'll show you how to record in a minute. So I want to make sure you understand how to do it. Does anybody want me to do another example? Give me a thumbs up if you want me to do another example. Personal commercial. Hi, I'm Cynthia. Recently graduated from the VA program. I've worked with animals for the past 15 years. Then do some hypothetical. I saw you guys had a advertisement for a new VA position. Do you mind passing on my resume? That's it. Simple enough, right? All good? So clearly you have to rehearse. Nobody walks around qualifying themselves. Well, some people do. I think we all know one or two that they do that all the time, right? But most of us don't just walk around with personal commercials in our head when we introduce ourselves. So that is why we want you to practice. Everything in this class is about practicing because we want you to get comfortable. You're starting a new career, and in your career, it's all about networking. It's all about introducing yourselves. It's all about being comfortable, showcasing your talent, right? Because you're promoting yourself like a business. So that takes time, and we understand that. All right. So like I said, here is what I want you to do today. For your participation question, I want you to create a personal brand statement. Now, guess what? For those of us that already have our resume and we have a summary or a qualification or a profile at the top, literally, you're taking that first sentence, most times it's in the first sentence, and you're copying and pasting. You're done. You're done. For those of us that don't have it, you're going to have to create it. And all you have to do is you're not going to have, hi, my name is Cynthia. You're just going to have that one liner that summarizes your skills. Maybe you want to say, I'm a recent graduate with over 15 years experience or in construction, transitioning into the HVAC program. Industry, whatever you want to say about yourself, right? You can always change it. Don't feel like you have to keep it, but I just want to see you practice doing that. This is what you're doing for your participation question. You're going to create a personal brand statement. If you already have one, you're just copying and pasting. Some of you probably already have it on your LinkedIn profile if you have a LinkedIn profile. Does everyone understand what the question is today? In your assignment, you're actually going to do an elevator pitch. When you go to your assignment, and let me know, give me a thumbs up if you need to, for me to show you where the video thing is. But when you go to the assignment, you know how you click on, you can upload a file, you can click if you want to do a text. The very next option is to click for video, and literally it will start recording you. 10 seconds, guys. Don't even get too crazy about it. It's a 10 seconds. Hi, my name is, qualify yourself. You can make an ask. If you don't want to make an ask, you don't have to. Really, really simple. If that freaks you out, I do not want you to skip the assignment because that freaks you out. You can type it in. I prefer to see it videotaped, but if you just say, I'm too nervous about that, and you just want to type it, I'm fine with it. All right? Do we have any questions on that? All good? All right, my friends, if you don't have any questions on that, I am going to release you for today. Good luck on your mock interviews, guys. Make sure really quickly when you do your mock interviews, they should be giving you back a form. You will be turning that form in on Friday. So make sure you get that form back after you do your mock interviews. And I'll repeat that tomorrow. Make sure you take that form with you because you have to turn it in for a grade. All right? Take care, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.